Mr. Sleepy Man has been a game on my radar for quite a while, since I saw the first short and fell in love with it right from the start. Something about this very interesting and abstract world being presented to my eyes, the nostalgic vibes of the early 2000s seeping from every nook and crevice possible, from the music that found its way to kiss my eardrums to something as small as the chime playing when moving to the next dialogue box. Everything on display was something that seemed right up my alley, so when I ended up being reached out by the publisher Monster Theater to have the chance to play the game early and talk about it, I was ecstatic to do so. Now, while I did receive a copy of the game for free, I will state that this isn't a paid sponsorship in any way. My opinions will still be my opinions, but spoiler alert, I love this game, so either way, I have a lot of positives to say. Now, one of the biggest surprises about Mr. Sleepy Man for me is learning that this was all solo developed by one man by the name of Devin. So I thought before we jump into the game, let's take a dive into who Devin, the creator of Mr. Sleepy Man, is.
Jerry, I have seen into the future. I have lived through the past. There is a great galactic war amidst our horizon. One that will jeopardize the human race if we don't do what is necessary. Billions upon billions of lives will be destroyed.
Devin started his game dev journey during the global pandemic that transpired back when every commercial followed the same cookie cutter line of "We're here for you in these troubling times." During COVID, he had lost his job and was forced to be isolated inside his home. So with that forced upon free time now, he took up the task of learning game development. With Devin stating that if it wasn't for the pandemic, Mr. Sleepy Man wouldn't be a thing at all. But the roots of Devin and Mr. Sleepy Man go further back than that. At the age of 12, Devin created his first YouTube channel and continued the path of creation heavily from there, as he would go on to create countless songs as years passed, even having the chance to be featured on Monster Cat's YouTube channel on the track Scars by Direct. When it comes to Mr. Sleepy Man, however, the first sighting publicly of him actually originates from the music video titled Mr. Sleepy Man. The song is about a very sleepy, anemic guy who just wants his life to be better. You'll notice the design shown in this video is pretty much the exact same as we can see in game, with only his pajamas having stripes being the difference. But Mr. Sleepy Man as a game character only became considered when Devin saw the humorous potential of a guy who was always asleep causing mayhem inside towns. But since he's asleep, any moral backlash from his actions would be thrown out the window, as how is a guy who's sleeping supposed to know right from wrong? If you dig around more, he has quite a few music videos on his channel that feature characters that are shown in Mr. Sleepy Man, making a lot of these super interesting to watch and then get context of who said character is in the game. All in all, clearly we can see Devin is a man of many talents. But I think the history lesson is over, as this was really all I could find on him, as it seems just like the game, Devin is also quite the mysterious man. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dust off that cartridge and dive into the magical sleepy world of Mr. Sleepy. Mr. Sleepy Man starts us off inside this room, with only a TV blaring static and a gaming console in front of us. The ambience from this is quite unique. Honestly, I was surprised to see this whole section just for starting the adventure be presented in first person, plus having to figure out how to even start the in-universe game inside of the game you're playing is not only a fun puzzle, but so meta, I'm sure Mark Zuckerberg would sue if he found out. Now, I'm sure us boomers who grew up with the Nintendo 64 will know what to do here, but I actually remember seeing a short where Devin said he watched a guy spend 20 minutes on this part alone and then just give up. But it shouldn't take you long to find the cartridge, and popping that bad boy inside fills the once voidless room with this sweet music of Mr. Sleepy Man.
Mr. Sleepy Man sleeps all day and night. Mr. Sleepy Man dreams of a better life.
Now, going forth from here, I won't be spoiling anything too major as I want people to play this, so going into everything like I normally do would ruin a lot of what Mr. Sleepyman has to offer. But there will still be some spoilers, as there's no possible way for me to review this without causing that to occur. If you don't want any spoilers, then just go buy the game if what you've seen so far has interested you. But for those that do want to stick around but somehow need more convincing, well...
Yeah, I don't know what a Jones Stone is, but that's what we're playing this week. So, yeah, I know this has been a viewer requested game for a long time now.
You were asleep for a long time. I thought you... Oh, wait, never mind. Looks like you're still sleeping or something. I think.
Yeah, so this is Tiffy. His name comes from a play on him only having one tooth and TV, which clearly he's not watching anytime soon as the one he does have is broken. Tiffy's biggest trait is his soft-spoken demeanor, cryptic ways of explaining stuff, and that he whistles every time he says words with S's in them, showcasing he only has one tooth. I personally find his dialogue to be some of my favorite in the game, as he does seem quite interested in trying to have Mr. Sleepyman around. To the point whenever you head off and leave him alone, he'll make comments about it. Tiffy though seems very adamant about us going back to sleep, so upon trying we realize we're unable to without a pillow or blanket. So this starts our task of setting off to find them. But while it doesn't take long to find said blanket, there seems to be no pillows around. This is when Tiffy explains how if we want to find a pillow, the only way to is by going outside, but the exit is blocked. If only there was a way for our troubled hero, Mr. Sleepyman, to find his way.
What? Sleepy? You can't just go breaking my window like that. Don't you have any respect? That is gonna be like a cold draft coming through. Oh, you don't care about anything I'm saying? That's cool. That's cool. You know, I respect that.
Welcome to the town called Bedtime Town. This is basically the main area where you will be doing your wacky shenanigans. It won't take long for any player familiar with 3D platformers from Mario to Banjo to see the influences stand strong. You have your dive, side flip, the ability to pull yourself up ledges if near them, and also if you press the button to jump, you jump. But I find how Mr. Sleepyman controls to be quite unique in of itself. Mr. Sleepyman does feel like he has weight to him. I mean, look at the guy. You never really feel like you can reach insane speeds like Sonic or crazy heights like Mario. While Mario has his triple jump and wall kicks, your best bet of reaching any high ledges comes from combining your side flip with your dive. But one thing that Mr. Sleepyman has over the other platformers is the fact momentum-based movement is implemented. If you ever decide to run down a hill or slope, Mr. Sleepyman will move faster during this. It's something that genuinely took me off guard when I first saw it. Mix all of this with your blanket serving as the glider for your adventure. It's honestly insane how nice Mr. Sleepyman's movement feels to use. If you were to tell me this was created by a well-known established team in the 3D platformer genre, I'd 100% believe you. But the fact that this was again all made by one dude with Mr. Sleepyman's movement alone taking 2 years of the 6-year development time this game faced, I see why he feels so free and fun to move around with. But since we have our glider and need to find our pillow, why don't I talk more about our trusty safety blanket? When it comes to said blanket, it acts like just how you would expect. It glides you around and can be used to save yourself if you're about to fall off the ledge, or if you don't feel confident in your jump. I honestly thank Breath of the Wild for having a glider in its adventure, as 3D platformers now without them feel kinda weird in a way. That being said, the glider feels more in line with how Flood comes off in Mario Sunshine, to the point you can find this secret platforming stage that even features these same sand platforms like the ones in Mario Sunshine, and you're actually not allowed to use the glider here at all. Because of this, the glider feels like an extension of your platforming skills instead of a crutch to save you from the platforming itself being bad, as it never comes off as overpowered in any way. as when you use the glider, you move quite slow and descend kind of fast. Mix that with your stamina gauge draining. Oh yeah, this platformer has one of those, by the way. But if you experiment with said mechanic by combining with other moves, you will learn pretty quickly that using it with a dive at the same time will create an insane horizontal boost, allowing you to reach high speeds across the land. This can also be used to escape anyone chasing you, or to go to areas in unattended ways. Not that the game really expects you to do anything in a certain order, but we will get to that later. I personally find going the flood route to be the better option, as it makes it where things can still be challenging, but not so easy and brain dead that the glider ends up ruining any sense of platforming that was intended to be here. But when you find your pillow is when I feel true speed can be reached. Not only is the pillow a tool for combat, slapping your enemies away like you're in a very sexually driven pillow fight, as you take on these zombified people or goo monsters, with their animation frames being very choppy to give the look of the clay animations I'm sure he was referencing here. Hell, this man really put Z targeting, by the way, inside of a 3D platformer. Now, if you dash and pull your pillow out at the same time, it will act like a sled for sliding down hills. I'm gonna go on a whim here, but I think Devin had so much fun when implementing this because there's so many slopes and places you can use this on, and a whole last slide level. Like, damn dude, I found myself just always wanting to slide around because the movement and speed just feels so right. I can't stress this enough about how good Mr. Sleepyman feels to control and maneuver around with. It's one of those things you really need to try out for yourself. I can pretty much see this man studied heavily the way Mario felt in Odyssey, as that's the best he's ever played, because I get full-on vibes of that when platforming inside Bedtime Town. I also do like that Devin didn't go crazy with a bunch of different abilities and kept it pretty simple, as I feel a less is more approach really worked here. Now, I've played a few indie platformers and some 3D ones where the devs seemed like they weren't confident with what they made, so they just gave the playable characters so many different moves and abilities to the point it became overwhelming. So playing this was such a breath of fresh air. The only thing, however, that was overwhelming in a good way was the amount of stuff you could do with Mr. Sleepyman. From messing with the police, committing a felony by stealing the cash register from the local supermarket, or stealing a vehicle from an old lady just so you can run over a child. You know, just your normal LA activities. Yeah, you will realize very fast Mr. Sleepyman isn't really made to be a hero. In fact, he's actually considered by Devin to be the antagonist of everyone, as constantly you're told to ruin people's days, destroy stuff. You can even get locked up in jail for it. How much more of an antagonist can you get? Because of this, Mr. Sleepyman is a very open-ended game, as while you will have little bits here and there of being told where and what you're supposed to do, you can technically do anything. As the levels are built to be an open sandbox, think of it more in line with the Untitled Goose Game, as objectives and goals are presented to the player, but you very much can outright ignore them and go do something else. In fact, to not spoil this part that much, I actually didn't start doing the main thing the story wants you to do till after I got the 2 major MacGuffins I needed to progress out of what is required. Up to that point, I didn't even know why I was collecting these, I just wanted to collect them. That's how I felt with the shiny objects that you can find scattered everywhere. You don't learn for a good bit what these are really for. It's only till you meet a very specific requirement that you finally get told why you collect these, and this is again also after finding said area and then solving a puzzle in the new secret place you're at. Again, I'm being very vague about this because I feel players really need to experience this for themselves. I wish I could go into more about it, but trust me, when you find these yourself, it will feel like the biggest insert Kelowna catchphrase.mp3 here. Oh shit, my bad, I was supposed to edit that in. Now, in one of Devin's shorts, he talks about how the open-endedness came from his time of playing Skyrim and the way he used to interact with Ocarina of Time growing up, as he found talking to NPCs and just going through the world to be so enjoyable. So when I was walking around and started to notice how alive everyone feels in this, I was taken aback to how I felt growing up with games like Majora's Mask. Heck, he even gave the moon a face, so what more do you need? This feeling comes from the way that everyone interacts with you. Characters will look at Mr. Sleepyman, talk to him, walk up and push him, get upset or scared when he does something like hitting them with a car. Like for me, there's one instance I was shocked about. You see, there's a grandma you can find in town, which is the owner of the car I keep stealing. The thing is, there's multiple ways of doing so. It's because she has a sort of schedule, it seems. When I first stole the car keys, I found her watching TV, but the second time she had the car parked at the store and was inside shopping, which allowed me to rob her there. There's a lot more of these interesting interactions to locate and find, to the point I could probably cover half of the video's time so far with everyone I saw alone. So to not waste your time, let's not do that and instead talk about the humor. The humor and visuals on everything really gives me the same feeling of watching home movies growing up, especially when you come across the random TVs just playing shows. As everything is drawn and animated in a similar looking style, outlines always moving, MS Paint appearance, it's so charming. Honestly, the clam song is forever stuck in my head, and I still haven't decided if this is a good thing or not. But how everyone talks to you and the funny amount of dialogue you can view is great. It's a very sarcastic meta humor, but it never is so cringe or Rick and Morty style that you end up hating it, but instead feels in line with something like Smiling Friends. I found myself actually laughing a few times with some of these scenes, especially the bear guy who lost his kid and doesn't want to tell his wife. Again, like I said, I don't want to spoil too much, but if you're a fan of just the opening scene I showed where we broke that guy's window, you will love the humor. I remember telling my friend this is very much a his game from the humor alone, as it's basically just him. Now, while I did fully enjoy my experience, I do want to mention a few gripes I had, but like nothing too major, as for the majority of my time, the game felt amazing. But for starters, there were a few times I can remember where I fell through the map, but like it's so easy to get back to where you were before, so it's really not that much of an issue, but something I felt I should note at least. I did find a glitch that I more want to bring up for the dev if he wants to fix it and sees this video, but as you explore you can come across these cloud time challenges, where you're supposed to get all the colored clouds before time runs out. Well, you can outright break these by just starting the cloud timer and then waiting at the start for the timer to run out and instantly hitting the cloud again. This will then restart the cloud challenge but not reactivate the timer. Again, I only discovered this because I'm bad, so I don't expect anyone who's not me to trigger this, but I do feel it's worth noting for the dev. Again though, these little issues I mentioned so far are honestly nothing burgers, but this one I do feel is kinda a huge problem that I hope in some way can get fixed, but considering how the game is designed, I'm not sure if doing so is even possible. But my main real gripe with everything is the fact when you complete a task like finding the red moons or the cloud challenges, they will respawn again when you come back into the room as if you didn't complete them. This ended up being annoying after a while as I was trying to remember what I did and haven't done, making it where when I came back to areas to retrace my steps and see things not completed that I did complete, it made it a bit tedious to track what was actually still left. Again, without spoiling anything, I feel how the game is made to be played is why this isn't implemented, but regardless, I did really find it annoying. To be fair, I think it's the only full gripe I have with Mr. Sleepy Man, but all in all, just play this game, dude. It's insane to see how amazing this 3D platformer ended up being, and it's all done by one guy. To see all the work he put into everything and how many times I caught myself just smiling, especially during the interactive music video. Holy shit, dude, I hope this man makes some type of music rhythm game at some point. I would buy it in a heartbeat. But yeah, that was Mr. Sleepy Man. I'm now going to be going full force on the Pokemon script in video unless another publisher decides to let me review their game and play it early. But for now, have a good one, guys, and stay sleepy. Goodbye.